Going on, traders? Of course, I'm in downtown Detroit, ready to wrap up the week. The question is, are you guys ready? We got a big jobs report, unemployment coming through. We've been seeing the rally coming back to tech. Can it continue today? Will good news be good news? Bad news be bad? There's only one real way to find out. That stay right here, of course, on Pre-Market Prep. Let's get it started. Let's wrap up the week. And of course, smash that like. Let's get it started here. It's Pre-Market Prep. Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your hosts, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I'd buy that stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Welcome, traders and investors, to another jam-packed, information-loaded pre-market prep. Joel Elconin here with Muddy Mitch. We're down 6 and 8.25 handles at 45.81 and a quarter. Just a little weakness. We'll get in more detail about the S&P here in a few minutes. The buck is up 20 cents at 103.70. Bonds a little haircut after that double top at 120.75. Crude back above 70, up $1.67 at 71.01. Gold just hanging out around 2,050, down $2.80 at $2,043.50. Let's just call silver flat, trying to stay in the 24 handle at 24.06. And Bitcoin, a wild couple days earlier in the week, digesting those gains, up $430 at 44,130. And Mitch, did you already go house shopping in the day?
Not house shopping, but I'm with you guys in the chat. Casual Friday, Mitch, today. As you guys can see, the gear not so flashy on Fridays. We take it easy, right? I mean, it's Friday here. It's time to wrap up the week.
You're traveling, right? So
I'm
you don't want
traveling.
to.
I'm traveling a late. I don't know about you guys. I don't like flying in a suit, so I'd rather fly in a hoodie anytime. Especially being elbow to elbows with people. Flying American though, we'll see if the airlines keep flying. We'll actually be talking to Frank Holmes about that coming up, our guest today. So let's talk about the action yesterday, right? I mean, yesterday definitely started to get tech to come back up. We got some strong names that we can bring up, like AMD, Intel had a really strong day, and kind of what I'm looking to see happened towards the end of the year really started to kick off yesterday with AMD really outperforming a lot of the action out there. And I think these stocks have room to run now.
AMD with their new chip, that was big news. Also, Google, yeah, I was mentioning Google, but just going broad market here for a minute. You know how we like to do that. We have since that last bump up, we've had a 12-day basically trading range, and we came down the bottom of that range. I'm just going to make the numbers really simple for everybody. I'm going to say 45.50 on the downside. This is basis the futures, the December futures, which have another week to expiration. All these lows right in this 45.50 area. Let's thicken up that line just to make it a little bit better to illustrate my point. 12-day trading range, just bouncing off that. The bulls just saying, hey, we're not going any lower. This is it. We need to get long to buy the dip. Now, the bears, bears are people exiting trades ahead of the jobs number, ahead of next week's inflation data, ahead of next week's quad, which they're defending 4,600, and high of the move is just under that intraday high or Globex highs. So right here, market is sitting and waiting and trying to decide what to do. It's just another consolidation for another blast off over 4,600. Get back to the highs for the year, Or is that support finally not going to be support and turn into resistance, the 45.50 area? We're almost smack dab in the middle, Mitch. That would be 45.75. So sitting on hands, trading the range. Let's see if that jobs number can take us out of it.
Yeah, one thing I'm starting to see, at least from this morning, TLT declining here from yesterday's move. So I'm going to continue to watch that. That could be an indicator that we'll be watching towards the open, see if it starts to really start to come back. I mean, it's been a big run, right? I think all of us have been impressed with this run. Now I feel like, maybe a pullback to 94 makes sense. Does it mean it's coming back to 90? No, but we could start seeing a little bit of some pullback action in that. I think that's weighing in on the market also. I mean, I'm seeing the Qs kind of come down here also, starting to leak from yesterday's rally. So be careful out there, traders. It's not just going to be one way. And we are going to get big economic data today, but even bigger economic data next week as we get closer to CPI on December 12th. So keep that definitely on the radar. Let's go to Broadcom as they reported their earnings. Q4 adjusted EPS here at $11.06, beating the $10.98. Sales at $9.29 billion, missed the $9.41 billion estimate. Broadcom sees fiscal year 24 revenues at $50 billion versus a $45.76 billion estimate. They see adjusted EBITDA of 60% of projected revenues, increasing their quarterly dividend by 14%. For all our income traders out there, this doesn't look too bad with $5.25 here per share for the fiscal year 24.
Straddle buyers are crying in their soup. Straddle writers are just whistling Dixie here. I'm not sure what the expected move is, but I know it's a lot more than. I mean, you had the move in the pre-market trading here that you could, or the after hours trading where you could have definitely trimmed. Went wide on this one on the closing print. I'm thinking, hey, why not? We'll see what happens at 900. It did smash through 900. I thought maybe on a pop we could get back half of this move at 950. Didn't quite get to 950. So here you are, down a buck 26. Levels to keep an eye on. Still, that double bottom persists at the 903.50 area if you start to go into decline. And I think you find sellers on a rally. First things first for the Bulls, you got to get through yesterday's high, 924.12, and then things open up a little bit. But battle for unchanged here in Broadcom. Spikes both ways in the pre-market, but Street still deciding what to do with this report.
Yeah, I think that 900 yesterday was a nice level to look at, right? We came like below it, right back above it. I wouldn't bet too much against this company. It's been pretty hot, and I remember when we first saw the move, when it rocketed from around 650 to like 800, then 850, then it went to 900. All of us were thinking this was a little bit too extended at that point, but it just went sideways consolidation at
Yeah.
those levels. And that tells us more that, yeah, that's a strong rally with some real buyers even buying pullbacks here, because it didn't just immediately come back down to that 650 area. And now I feel like it's primed to set up at some point for maybe a run back towards that 1,000.
I mean, two people looking at two different charts, two different ways. I mean, this has had I'm looking at the bottom here, a lot of green monthly candles going back to 22. I think I'm just looking at this move that it had. And I just can't get this 950 on it. You had to decline to 900. Boom, you tried to rally. I think it's so important. If I was a long-term shareholder here over the next couple days, if this didn't get back up to 950 and hold 950, I'd be worried the lower the move isn't in, and a lot of room between 850 and 900. You're still 20 bucks off the low of the move at the 903. I'm going to throw out this pre-market action, but yeah, you got the setups here. The rally, the decline, trying to rally back after earnings. So nice setups, great year. I mean, maybe some profit taking into. Yeah, I'd be more prone to some little bit of profit taking into year end because nobody has tax loss selling, as opposed to like gearing up on the long side. Fantastic year for Broadcom.
So Joel, do you got your Lululemon pants on?
Had them on
Lulu.
yesterday, Mitch. I had them on yesterday.
Oh, that's what you were rocking yesterday. I saw all the ladies looking. Q3 adjusted EPS here, $2.53, beating the $2.28 estimate. Sales of 2.2 billion, beat the 2.19 billion estimate. North America net revenues increasing 12% year over year. International revenues were up 49% year over year, and then total comparable sales were up 13%. And when you look at the direct to the consumer sales, that increased 18%. So they're still finding ways to really kind of, I mean, they're still finding ways to sell this brand, and it's high end. Like everything
It's
in
not,
there is
yeah.
high end.
Yeah.
And there's nothing cheap about Lulu. I mean, a headband will probably cost you $20 at Lulu.
Including the stock. Big spikes all over the place. The big spike down. Someone got really carried away when they took this to
Ooh, the
429.
algos.
Yeah, 429.37. Boy, I'll tell you, we're starting out in the red here, down 767, currently trading at 457. I drew this trend line in yesterday. That's one steep old trend line here, very steep. That's connecting several lows. For today, it comes in at the 440 area, just above the 440 area. I just don't know where you find. I mean, you're looking between 440 and 460. The only thing you have is a pair of lows at 452.40. That's the number. If we hold that 452.40, Bulls are still in full control. We'll take this up. We'll take out the high of the move. If you lose that 452.40, I see downside here. I don't know about the bottom of this trend line. If it takes out this trend line, Katie, bar the door. But I really like that number. And then coming back on the upside, maybe people are trying to wiggle out at the top, the bottom of yesterday's range. I'll call 460.60 resistance here for Lululemon.
Well, of course, you could see that one that it opened up when the earnings came out as a spike down. Now, take a look at this spike up in Docu. Let's go to DocuSign. Q3 EPS 79 cents beats the 63-cent estimate. Sales of 700.42 million beat the 690.13 million estimate. They see Q4 revenue at 696 million. To 700 versus a 693.73 million estimate. Fiscal year 24 revenues 2.74 to 2.75 versus a 2.73 billion estimate. So everything looking good here on the outlook. There was a quick spike there. I don't know if you have that also, Joel, but I have a spike there towards 52.18.
Yeah, exactly. 52.18 right on the kisser has got over 52. Immediately my eyes go over here to your early September highs in the 52. Some in the 52 handle, others in the 53 handle. So it stopped just short of that major resistance. Now a little bit on the decline, down 36 cents. So when I see something like that, I'll just concentrate on the range from yesterday. In the range from yesterday and the day before, two lows at the 46.60 area. That's a must hold, or else you're looking down to the lower 45 handle. And if the Bulls want to have some fun with this one, you got the close and the high right by each other, 47.44, 47.56, and then you have the week at the high of the week at 49.09 here. So a little bit of a dip, a big rip, settling in here. Always on days where you have earnings, you want to see if the stock can go green and stay green before you get too carried away on the long side.
This is one of those companies that I feel like you see a lot of people use it, but just not as profitable as a business as you would expect it to be. You could see it in the EPS, right? The earnings per share is pretty low for sales at 700 million, right? I mean, they don't make much money, man. They can get to customers, they can get to eyes, but that's not enough here in the case for Docu.
Well, it had the pandemic bump, where
Yeah,
everyone was buying a house,
everything.
right? everyone was doing stuff online. I can't remember the last time I've used DocuSign. So way off. I mean, it was just a perfect storm here when it got up over $300, $314.76. That was back in August of 21. I mean, you're just not gonna you're not gonna see those levels. I think it's pretty safe to say you'll never see that all time high.
Well, some people are going to be saying it about this one today. RH, of course, Restoration Hardware Q3 disaster stock of the day. Take a look. It is just getting whacked here. Adjusted EPS loss of 42 cents, missing 97-cent estimate. That is pretty bad, guys. I mean, they lost money, and they're expected to be pretty substantially above neutral, right? And so this is going to be really bad here. Sales of 751.23 million, missed the 756.74 million. So a miss and a miss, and then narrowing their revenue guidance here from 3.6 billion and 3.8 on the high end. Now down here towards just slightly down. I mean, they brought it down towards literally 3.08, but the operating margin at 13.6 and 14%. It's a high end good. If we really are going to see the consumer slow down, this is that exact kind of stock that you can really see take a big hit.
Pre-market low on a spike down to 252.05. A little bit of a rebound off of that. This had a big move off the 207 area, getting close to 290. So let's see what happens if we can come back into this 50% retracement. Haven't done it yet. 248. I think if you just kind of pull back here and really don't breach that 50%, form some bids in the 250 to 260 area, maybe turn back up and fill the gap. That's going to take a while at 277.51. But man, this stock is not really part. I mean, it's off its lows from earlier in the year, uh, back in October and November. But look how far it's off its yearly high, over $400. I mean, you go into these stores, you see these $5,000 couches, right, and with holes in them. Never really understood it, but for right now, if you're looking to buy a pullback here, see if you can get something done at the $248 area for RH.
All right. Earlier this week, we saw Builders First Source make a really nice move. So I mentioned one that I was wanted to keep an eye on, Carrier, right? Just because, I mean, if we're going to keep building, I mean, and especially the way that they've been building houses, I see this company continue to see upside. And then today I see in the news, I'm like, well, why is Carrier up so much? I mean, I wish it was that I knew this news was coming, but they announced an agreement to sell global access solution business to Honeywell for 4.95 billion, getting out of one business and giving them a nice little lift today, up there to 56. I think a high in the pre-market of 56.50s, 53 to be exact. So let's see if this can really start getting it going, because I liked it on the daily chart
You
of a
did.
nice long-term trend line. And now we can really start kind of attacking those resistance.
Whenever I think of this stock, I think of my daughter Emily, who did her master's in photojournalism at Syracuse, and I think that's where. I mean, I know they still have a headquarters there. I think they might have moved part of their headquarters down to Florida, but that, and I think of the Carrier Dome. Have you ever been in the Carrier Dome?
Have not been in the Carrier.
Yeah, that's what I think of this stock. It's a nice. I mean, if you think about it, if the building things are still going on, you're going to need, parts that go in the house, right? Your HVAC and things of that nature. Carrier getting a nice pop here. Let's just look at it only technically here. 56 and a quarter is your pre-market high. Haven't really backed off yet from there. You're still trading at $56. But this is it's an area of interest. It's got to be. You had two highs right at 56.10 and 56.20, October 10th and 11th. Right there. You had another high a little bit above that. That actually made it into the 57 handle. and then another high at 56.53. So don't know. I don't if it's bid or offered there, but you have a sustained 56 bid here off the open. You got some room on the upside. If that scenario comes into play, and then you get in, let's say you do get to that 56.5 or 57, you come back down through that area. I think things are going to be thin with bids and down until the top of yesterday's range at 53.15. But right now, holding on some sporty gains. I just wanted to look at the builder's first source for you real quick.
Yeah.
The old it was added to the S&P, I believe, on Monday. Right on this day, it got the pop and the drop. So just a word of caution. When you see those more times than not get added to the S&P, you get that pop. That doesn't mean that everyone's buying at that time. Sometimes it's at the end of the month. But you definitely, if you wanted to buy it and you lamented not getting it off that move, you had an opportunity in it. And I believe that was Monday that it happened. On Tuesday, it came down and made a new low. But what a strong stock. 150 major resistance in this one. That's what you hit in yesterday. Nope, that was Wednesday session. 150.99, trying to hold yesterday's high right now for a potential gap up situation.
I'm gonna use Benzinga Pro for this one, but I always like to point to something if I see it like technically with some leaders, right? So VMC, Vulcan Material Company, it's also a building material company stock. Do you know about this one, Joel?
I think I've heard you mention it before.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm going to look here exactly what they do. Of course, I'm using Benzinga Pro for this. You guys can do this on Benzinga Pro also. When you go to any company, you look in the details page. Right at the bottom, we have a nice company summary. And this is important for moments like this where I don't necessarily know exactly what this company does, but I like it technically, and it's in an interesting industry for me, seeing these building material stocks doing well. And this is the United States' largest producer of construction aggregates. So crushed stone, sand, and gravel. That seems like it's going to be pretty needed if we're going to keep building. So there you guys have it. Interesting setup for me. How do you see this technically, Joel?
Oh, I wish we would have been talking about this almost 2 weeks ago at the 210 area. I got great daily support there at 210. Mitch looking at a sympathy play off the carrier news, which is a great way to take a look at the markets. Right now, the way the setup is, if this wants to continue higher, you have a pair of highs in the 216 handle. So I would keep an eye on that. You hit 1606 on Tuesday, and then on Monday you hit. Excuse me. That's Thursday, Tuesday, Monday 1629, Wednesday 1606. That's what you're looking at. That's your 3-star resistance on a rally. On the downside here, looks like buyers have stepped up from 210. Nah, so I still have to stick that 210 area as major support.
Yeah, in the chat, even giving another one here, I'll just kind of mention it because like things like this is what it's all about, right, guys? If we can help each other point to different names and maybe keep an eye out for, this is Summit Materials, also a building with supply material stock. I'm gonna keep my eye on these stocks. They're interesting and they're definitely continuing to move. And these aren't usually the sexy names, right? Sometimes you can find some real steady plays there. Let's move to
what was that last symbol you gave?
MUM. So it's Summit Materials.
MUM?
SS and Sam.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I was real good at math. I mean, this is $36. You pressed up against it yesterday. You pressed up against in October. When you did, you caught a cold there. Going through 36. What kind of volume this one trade before I talk too much? Oh, not bad. 600,000. Yeah. But that 36 looks like just a great level on the dailies and the monthlies. Keep an eye on Summit Materials.
I always love looking at the industries, right? But let's go to upgrades, downgrades here. I got 2 upgrades that are really interesting. Morgan Stanley upgrading First Solar to overweight and raising price target to 237. I mean, to me, this has been on the decline, and I mean, I don't see Solar's changing anytime soon. I don't know what they're seeing. Could you think of how you could be positive in this stock, Joe?
Yeah, Mitch, just because it's been beat up so bad.
All
And
right.
if you got to
Okay.
put this, I think solar, perhaps on your shopping list. If we start looking for the January effect, I think you've had a lot of tax. I mean, who's sitting on a profit on this thing? Not many people. I don't mind this upgrade here up 462. Not going to chase it on that, but I think it's building a constructive chart here. Did we get probably a little bit more than a 50% retracement? Like I said, I'm not chasing it up 462, especially kind of a little bit of a down market here. So I'll give you a soft number at the pre-market high at 149.90. Above that, your high earlier in the week came in at 156.32. I really don't see that coming today, but just to make a constructive chart here, looking a bit of longer term, if you are looking at this for the January effect here, I'd like to see a retracement lines of what it has done from this move. I mean, they're out of favor. You got tax loss selling. Ooh, look at that 50% coming right. Wow, that's where it was yesterday. This 146.5. Yeah, that's 148.5. That's getting it back to that area. Really would like to see a couple more lows in this area, and then see how it rises out to the end of the year. SEDG got kicked out of the S&P. Really didn't go down much. That's a sleepy chart. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna break that out of its doldrums. But Mitch, we got a jobs number here,
Yeah,
and
we do.
coming up at 8:22, and we. Am I breaking up to you, Mitch? Because we're getting some complaints here. I know the internet was a little bit shaky there in the office, but you hearing me loud and clear?
Yeah, I'm getting you loud and clear. It's probably me. I'm gonna say it's on my side. This room sometimes gets some connection issues. It has to do with the
Okay.
Wi-Fi. It's not even like the internet's not there, but it has to do with, I guess, the wireless transmission on this computer. I know they're trying to fix that, but hey, that's just what it is, guys. But right now, we will talk a little bit about this coming up. I just wanted to at least preference it, and then we'll talk about it with Frank Holmes coming up. JP Morgan upgrading Riot platforms. So, I mean, seems like they're starting to even look at the miners here to get a nice lift. So keep your eyes open for that. We'll expand on this conversation with Frank Holmes coming up. Of course, we'll talk about it also with Hive. But I think it's interesting to start seeing even the banks opening up to upgrading these miners and crypto miners. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes here. Now, of course, 8:30, we're going to get unemployment. We get non-farm payrolls. We're also going to be focusing at average hourly earnings. Non-farm payroll is the big number to watch. The estimate that we have here is 190,000, the prior being 150,000. Now, we could see this number get a little bit of a spike even higher than the 190 from the 150 prior, right? Which is already a spike of 40,000 because of the labor issues that we're doing when they were taking this data, right? Of course, the labor issues have now resolved with the autos and the UAW. So they could actually see a nice little spike here. It could actually come in higher. What would that mean for the markets, right? I think that's the important thing. To me, that just means more and more of that Goldilocks scenario, right? The soft landing scenario. Some people will say that, there's like two sides right now. We're going into recession, the consumer's breaking down, and then there's the complete opposite side, and there's just like this economy is too strong.
Oh, we got to move. It must be hot. It must be hot. At least that's what the algos are taking here. Quick dip down to 6175. That looks like a little bit of worry here. Jobs report imminent. That first move by the algo jumpers is down to 6175. And let's see, this is the 1 minute chart. A little bit of a spike. Didn't make a new high. Right now, sellers are dominating the pre-market trading here. 61.75. What do you know? Up to the top of the trading range last night and this morning. Here you are coming back down on the low of the trading range here. Wow. Quick loss there. They pounded it. Let's see if the Bulls still have a buy the dip mentality. 61.75. What do you got for me, Mitch?
Top three numbers right here at the top, guys. I tried to zoom in far enough so you guys can see it here. Non-farm payrolls coming to you from Benzinga Pro, 199,000 versus 180,000 estimate that we had. I had an updated estimate at 190,000, but still higher, right? So that expected little boost there, not a bad little boost. Unemployment rate for November coming in at 3.7% versus a 3.9% estimate. That showing that what? Unemployment coming down versus going up? Is that the Goldilocks scenario? That's exactly what we are talking about. And then average hourly earnings at +4 versus a +4% estimate. This just keeps inflation at where it is. You know, let's say a report coming in here at 3.8, 3.6 would have been better to see for the average hourly earnings, because then we're seeing that in wage inflation is coming down. But the other two numbers support the Goldilocks scenario. So we're looking pretty decent out in for the Bulls. And how's the market reacting?
Well, you got the spike down. They didn't even wait. They hit the sell button.
They didn't even wait.
Well, they did. Wow, the spike up to 93.50 must have really. Wow, it actually didn't get to the high. I missed that with my naked eye. I can't believe it. You went to 45.92. So the early algo jumpers tried to take it to the high of the session. Then reality set in here, and you know the only thing, like, what has Powell been saying? What has he been? I don't care what the TLT's been doing. I don't care what the bonds are doing. What has Powell been consistently saying about the interest rate scenario? What has he been saying?
Higher for longer.
Yeah. Yep.
Higher for longer.
Yep. I don't necessarily think that rates will be going higher. I just don't think they're going lower. I think they're staying steady. That is what they need to digest this. So now, people, we did get some.
The action is interesting, though, right? I mean, because these numbers look good. So the interesting reaction of the algos just picking it up to the downside, that's where I get interested, and I'm like, well, I mean, I guess is good news bad news now again? That's the hard one right there, because to me, if I was a bull, right, I want to see unemployment not spiking, because that gives the soft landing narrative a boost. So that's how it is, guys. That's how sometimes, even if you have these numbers before this report came out, would you have played it to the downside the way that the market reacted there? That's the question.
I mean, the only thing, and I hope I reiterated this at the top of the show, is that we're just in a trading range. Let me go back to the S&P here, and we're still in that trading range. So until further notified, you got to respect the support here. The buyers have stepped up at this area. They're like, no perfect double bottoms or triple bottoms or whatever. There's a cluster of lows in the same area. Really, from yesterday I calculated it. There was a total of like 14 lows within a 10 handle range, right? So bulls stepping up, bulls stepping up, bulls stepping up. On the upside, as you can see illustrated by the daily chart here, they're like, wow, 4,600, baby. I never thought in October I'd be able to sell my peanuts when the circus was in town at 4,600, and you had very little time over that level. Tried on Tuesday, tried on Wednesday, tried on Thursday, tried today, and here you are. So I mean, I'm sit on hands. You can trade all you want, all the chop you want between 4,550 and 4,600. But a reckoning day is coming. We're either going to finally mount the bid and all the bulls looking for the year-end rally. Woohoo! We cleared 4,600. or they're finally get the Bears are finally going to overwhelm the Bulls at the 45-50 area. And they'll probably do it overnight, the old, that kind of setup. But here
Yeah,
we are, just stuck, Mitch. We're stuck.
Yeah, I was talking about TLT maybe getting to the 94 on the pullback. I didn't know it'd be right now. We're at 94.06 right already. We were just up there at like 95s. So there you guys
Yeah, I
have.
see. But like, that's not much of a pullback to me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
not
mean,
much. It just
no,
shows that the TLT is though pulling back now finally.
yeah,
Now the question is, will it break the trend? Because to me, I use like moving averages sometimes to just tell me the trend, right? The trend isn't really broken in my eyes, at least until you break that 9 EMA, and that's down there towards like 93.54. So we're still ways away from there. We could find some dip buyers a little bit later on this drop, but it gives you opportunity, right? Because yesterday the tech tried to rip higher, it pulls back. Exactly what you're saying. You are getting moves that are just staying within the range. And until we break out of this range, whichever side, I think that's what you need to be looking for, really. Because now we
yeah.
just popped up.
I'm looking at. I know you guys. You and Dennis are TLT centric. I like the bonds just because it
Yeah, it does look
encompasses that
cleaner.
entire market. It is look how much cleaner that chart. I'm gonna have an argument with
Yeah,
Dennis
it is
first thing
cleaner.
Monday morning. I'm gonna argue with him when he gets back from his vacation. But because look at this TLT chart. I'm gonna pull it up. Where's my mouse? TLT gaps, boom, all over. Like, I can't talk about gap fills because there's a gap almost every day in this. But then you look at your 30-year bond, you don't necessarily have to trade it. Look how clean. Look, there's not one stinking gap in here in the entire chart. Now, gaps aren't all the end all, but it gives you right here. You had a double top at 118 and a half. Boom, you cleared it, retested it, went back. I think that's going to be the level. I wonder where that will correlate with your level. Actually, it got to 118.14 today. So the old resistance it turns out to be new support. You got a little bit of a bounce. So I'll say, hey, I don't know if that coincides with your $94 area, but that's what I'm looking at. 30-year bond got to hold. Look, buy the dippers are coming in here once again, down 13 handles. And now I just talked about 4,500 to 4,600. I'm probably going to stare at my screen all day when we weave and bob right above the middle, 45.75.
Yeah, I'm seeing out there, of course, talk coming out the street. I think Bank of America is listening in, Joel, because they're saying that the markets jumped the gun and that they're jumping the gun on rate cuts. I mean, come on,
Yeah, I
guys.
did. Oh man,
Like,
don't
who
get
is
me started
believing
on that.
this rate cut nonsense in the spring? Even we heard from one of the Fed members like 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's not going to happen, guys. The economy would literally have to be like just like everybody getting fired for us to be cutting in spring, and I don't
Five,
see that.
five, five, rate cuts next year, Mitch. I've even seen some pundits saying that five.
Yeah, no, man. I highly doubt that we even get one next year. That's the way I feel because the truth is the Fed always plays extreme and they play late. They don't play early. They don't front run. They're not front running things. They're waiting until data dependency. Pretty much when the data tells them that they have to change is when they actually change. And so they've said it multiple times, and I don't think people listen to the words. You're saying it here, Joel. They're not listening to what Jerome's saying. He's saying substantially inflation down at 2%. So they want to see multiple reports of inflation get to 2%. And they also want what? That balance sheet coming down. So they can keep on their narrative that we're fighting inflation and keep these interest rates high so they can get that balance sheet down and actually give them ammo when they need to cut and get this economy ramping back up again even further than what it's even doing right now. Well, they're going to have that ammo if they wait on these cuts. If they cut really quickly, then they lose that strength and they give up their position of strength. And the Fed isn't going to do that. I don't see
No,
that
no.
happening.
Let's see here. I just want to see what the mid range on the session here is. It's about 30 points, 15. So battling it out at the 40 at the mid range at 45.78. I would not that I ever not a real student of it, but I remember a lot of people used to look like in a volume profile. I believe it was a Stottlemyre volume profile. And I'd love to see what the volume profile looks like for this week because we have just grinded in such a narrow range and just some of the Bulls and the Bears just battling it out. But the buy the dippers are looking at it and say, hey, the economy's still strong, unemployment is still low. We're still going good. We're buying the dip here. Now we're after dipping to 45, 61, 75. We're back up in the 45.80 handle. So nice move there and the nice rebound. Let's see if we can get back to unchanged on the session. That comes in at 45.89.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of a shake there. We'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on that team. Let's keep going. Let's talk a little bit about an interesting conversation. I don't know if you guys heard about what's going on with GameStop right now. And Joel, if you want to hop in the back, check on our guests, you can go ahead and do so. I'm going to put you in the background. I'll just talk about what's going on here. So let me talk a little bit about this GameStop situation, guys. It looks like Ryan Cohen is saying, you know what? We need to find some way to make some money at GameStop. Board, how about you guys just go ahead and give me the money to trade because you guys know that I'm that good at investments and I'm going to make the money back for us. So GameStop is either really trying to either blow up their account like these penny stock traders or maybe send it rocketing again. I mean, yesterday was a pretty strong day. I'll tell you one thing, I'm not shorting GameStop anytime soon. But on December 5th, the board of directors actually approved this new investment policy that permits the company to invest in equity securities and use the cash they have for that versus, let's say, going into treasuries. So it's essentially saying that, I mean, this is like a video game, man. And it's interesting because, Ryan Cohen also can invest in companies that he's also invested in. So there's like this big move now of wondering that Ryan's going to be able to turn this market around, make some big bets. I mean, he's done some good ones before. I still remember JWN when it did this big pop and then it just completely dropped. I still remember the mention from kind of Bed Bath and Beyond, and it spiked. And he actually sold into that move and got the SEC looking into him. So I think this is all crazy talk. I mean, to be trading the company's cash, I mean, that's just unless you're that good of a trader, then maybe, yeah, that makes sense. But is that really going to turn around GameStop's business? I highly doubt it. What do you guys think in the chat? Should he be trading with the company's cash? Let me know in the chat, guys. Put a GameStop in the chat if you think he should be trading. And then put a no, of course, if you think that sounds like a terrible idea. And I already see you guys dropping into that. The chat is on fire. GME, the GTA of Wall Street. I like it, guys. GME will be a hedge fund, pretty much. AJ, you seeing this? Can you believe it, man? What did AJ say? I got to catch it up here. It's a hedge fund that sells video games now. My man AJ knows it right. AJ used to be a writer at Benzinga. He's in he's in his new gig now, guys. Please follow AJ if you guys don't already do. He's a really good writer, and even though he still doesn't work for Benzinga, I'm still gonna give him a nice shout out. It's always good to see you out there, AJ. What do you guys think? Reckless as hell? Insane? No. Does anybody think this is a good idea? This is the crazy part. I don't think there's anybody in their right mind that thinks this is a good idea. the ape diamond hands. It's high risk, high reward. Okay, at least there's some people that are here supporting it. Same way GME has always been. Yeah, definitely a little bit desperate. He should give it to you to trade. To tell you the truth, JJ, if a company like, let's say, Benzinga was like, yo, Mitch, go trade with all our revenue, I'd be like, yo, how about you give that to somebody else? Because the truth is, guys, that's a lot of pressure. And the more pressure that you put on, that's not going to help, right? Like some people can handle that increase of pressure, but a lot of people are going to crack. And now, if Ryan Cohen makes, one or two big mistakes, he could potentially send GME, really in a bad situation where they do go bankrupt. So I think at this point, I think it's a really desperate, it's a last hurrah to get GameStop going. Now the only question is, can they continue it going? Because it's still pretty hot. I mean, if you guys see the action yesterday, it's been holding in here. I'm going to be watching to see if it can break a trend line and start to actually make a move here, especially back above like towards like 17. That's something definitely to keep your eyes open for. Joel, how we doing?
Not doing good. And I guess Frank's home missed his flight here to his destination. So we'll see if he pops in later on. But I just
Yeah,
heard you talk.
I don't think Frank missed it. The airline needs to go pick up Frank. They should be like
Yeah,
literally carrying Frank to the airlines because I mean, hey, he supports the industry, that's for sure. What we can do is how about we talk a little bit about the airlines a little bit because
sure.
they have been hot. American Airlines, I'm still scratching my head. I hope Dennis still has this because he was riding this the whole way down. And I even got to the point where I had to get out of this. I hope he still has it because it is starting to at least change tunes, getting up there to 14. I saw UAL starting to get going, DAL looking a lot better, JetBlue having a decent day.
Why don't we
Staying,
bring up why don't we bring up some of those graphics that Frank sent over?
yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So
I
the
think
first
I
graphic
think
here.
Yep. There you go, folks. There it is. The aviation industry took 4 years to reach those levels, and here we are. I know with the recent flights, that I've had, been like incredibly on time. Also, a big headwind or tailwind for these stocks. Oil been pulling back, right? So there's a look at the catalyst. Frank did talk before about the energy and also the business travel coming back, right?
Yeah.
And I tell you, I was downtown Detroit, yesterday. I tell you that parking lot was once again full. So people back to the office, business travel. That's good for the airlines. Looking at AAL just filled the gap here at 14, so maybe we'll get a little bit of a pause. I know Delta has had a similar move. That's now back over $40. Nice smooth move. Let's take a look at UAL running into a little trouble at 42. Love still out. Wow, Love finally gets some love here off the low of the move. That's finally perking up. And then, do you have the graphic with, was it the graphic, or was it the statement with about the oil?
Yeah, let's get to that. That's going to be this one right here. So, of course, this is coming from U.S. Global Investors. We were going to have Frank Holmes on today, but he sent us this image, and it makes sense, right? I mean, you really are seeing the prices of oil drop. We've been talking about it. How would we get into the 60s? Well, there you see it, right? And another thing that this is pointing to about the moving averages and how they're below when the price action starts to get below moving averages, that shows that negative move, right? And that's exactly what technical analysts don't want to see. When all the averages are above, that's just showing that bearish action. And until they can actually cross it back, that's the only way that it's going to seem like, okay, maybe you see a little bit of a turnaround here. And how does that affect the airlines, of course? Well, cheaper oil. I
Yep.
mean, that means expenses go down. And this could lead into what we're also seeing in the cruise lines, right? I mean, the cruise lines are just an absolute leaving port.
What a
And when are we
turn,
coming
huh?
back? We're not
Wow.
coming back, man. That was an
Wow.
opportunity to ride that wave.
And look at that, bottoming with the market in October at the $11 area, now back up to 18. Currently trading up 9 cents here at 18.02. Just nonstop rally. I would like to see what happens here at the 18 hand, at this $18 area. You did have a high at 18.04 yesterday. You're trading up 9 cents. You did have a triple top at 18 back in August before it declined down to its low of the move. So see if the Bulls have enough buying power to get this 18 bid power through the 19 handle. And don't look now, Royal Caribbean Airlines. I mean, they came out. Remember last quarter? Did they come out and to say, "Man, things are great"? And as far as the bookings out, well, look at RCL here, all time high made just before the pandemic. That came in at 135.32. Back here at 120, trading up in the pre-market. Now, the lagger of the group has been Norwegian. And I'm not sure what the reasons are for that. I guess maybe the European travel has not picked up. It's a little bit more expensive. But there's your laggard of the group. RCL, the clear winner, getting back near the area of all-time highs. And the laggard and CLH, not a big cruise guy myself.
I've been wanting to go on cruises. I mean,
you did not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still remember that was kind of like a good bottoming of RCL. That was when RCL broke 60s. It was like 70s.
When did you go? In May or something?
I still have it on the chart here, guys. It's this circle right here. This is when I came back and I talked about RCL. So, I mean, it wasn't bad timing. Let's just say that much. I just wish I would have bought it at that point because, I mean, yeah, we're pretty ways away from there, right, guys? So it's really interesting. Airbnb also showing some pretty good strength. If we're talking,
we got some news on Airbnb, don't we?
Yeah, let me take a look. I'll put your chart up here. Let me see if there was some news this morning.
Oh boy, this is a little bit of an accordion chart here. Well, I'll tell you right now. I'm looking at this price action that you had in late October and early November, and then I'm kind of looking at the price action that you had really for the remaining bit of November, kind of the consolidation, and then a move up here. And you got a nice level to lean on as far as support goes. If you're hanging in there on the long side, pair of lows at what's called the 135.30 area. Did make a new high for the week last week at 141.16. Traded down just a tad, but let's see. The high close for the week has been 139.84. So see if we can barrel through that. Do some work in the 141 handle. As I mentioned, yesterday's high at 141.16.
RB saying that he bought RCL in March of 2020 and stoked to have held. Yeah, I'm sure you definitely those are opportunities, man. It's so hard to buy in those opportunities, but there's plenty of companies that I look back in that opportunity. I'm like, man, you're just taking a shot because the truth is you never know what's going to happen in those opportunities. But if you don't take shots on goal, you can't score a goal, man. All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's take a look at the market action. Let's do a little bit of some financial talk because I think it's important to point to that. XLF really been hot as of late. Can these banks keep going? I think they will, as long as nothing starts breaking in, let's say, commercial real estate or some other situation like that. Let's say regional banks getting going into bankruptcy or anything like that. Well, the door is open for them to keep lifting.
Yeah, looking at the XLF, that's been a really sustained move with the market. I'm looking at the monthlies here, and I'm looking at this $36 area. We're still pressing up against it. So man, you need to get above 36, hold 36, and then press up to that next monthly high. Next monthly high, 37 and 11. The way that thing moves, that could take 2 or 3 years. The KRA, right? We're all worried about the financial crisis, banking crisis. Still haven't gotten back to those levels that we carried off from back in April. But the monthlies are giving you a look here. You're trading up 32 cents. The highest we've been is 49.57. That was back in July rebound. Failed and the lower just below that in August there. You're back up here again. This is not the daily. This is not the weekly. This is the monthly charts. So trying to bust in $50. It just feels kind of heavy or in order to get up to 60. That's going to take a while. JP Morgan, which I did pick up during that April swoon, back up to the highs of the move, highs for the year. I just want to reiterate, when you hear people talking about a big exec selling the stock, this was the exact day that they mentioned that Jamie Dimon was selling $140 million worth of stock. Well, should have just bought it all, Jamie, and said buy 135. Also, similar thing happened with Amazon. Bezos is selling the $1 billion worth of stock. I think this was back here when it nicked 140. So, got to tell just like when you get added to the S&P or deleted to the S&P, there's short-term effects and there's long-term effects as well. So just try and use the news flow to aid with your short-term, and also it could be good for your long-term trading as well.
Let's take a little bit of a review of the action, of course, since the numbers have come out. The TLT still like kind of on a leak and sideways action since that first action, but the SPY or the Qs or the
yep, buy the dip.
Coming back.
Buy the dip again. Yeah.
I felt that numbers. I don't felt those numbers were negative to the bull story, at least. But yeah, the market reacted like that, and we clearly see it coming back pretty quickly.
Well, one thing, I don't know if we did mention it. You mentioned it in the pre-market show. Our chat has mentioned it. How you're figuring the jobs with the strike ending, right? People going back to work. Also, the ancillary industries that were affected by that slowdown. So it could just be a one-time bump in the employment coming into that. I think the other thing why this may persist, this was our November number. I think also you're probably getting into some seasonal hiring tendencies, right? For the holidays, as people max out those credit cards and go to a firm and do that.
So pay never.
Yes. So there's a couple different factors I think that are going into that nice, low number there, unemployment rate. That's what we like to see. As far as the S&Ps go, we're just stuck here, folks, in the same range, and got a nice pop. Couldn't get back to unchanged. Not going to worry so much about that pre-market high 45.93.50. That focus is going to be that close from yesterday at 43.89, and then you saw how quickly they bought the dip on that one. So buy the dipper, still lurking here in the markets.
One stock that I wanted to take a look at before we get out of here is ARM, because I feel like it's an interesting stock. For a while there, this was the stock that everybody wanted to talk about. And then, of course, what happens? It gets sleepy, it gets ignored, and now it's just slowly starting to stair step higher. A lot of support here. What are you seeing on the charts, Joe?
I see. Mitch, you got to look at the chart. You got to look at the chart both ways. This is really. I remember I took my eye off this one, and I really thought 56 was a good level. Was it 56? Yeah. Look at all those daily highs in that area. That day it went to 56. You had absolutely no shot at it. Well, no, it went to 50. Yeah, it went to 56 on this day here, and it never even checked back. But what I'm going to do here, man, it's just you got it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's call it 10 to 12 days of consolidation. And I'm just going to go with the highest point. The highest point of that consolidation is 64.92. And the lowest point of this consolidation is 60.37. Let the Bulls and the Bears battle it out now. You got to, right now, being trend followers, wink, wink. The trend has been up since November. You get a pause in the action, right? Consolidation after consolidation, continuation of the recent trend. But there it is. TradeTheRange.com now for ARM after that big move up, and it's digesting in the second this big candle that you had on the second day of trading. So you could tell people like, hey, I got my money back. So that's it for that's it for ARM, Mitch. What else you got to wrap things up?
I think we'll end up there. The last thing from a comment chat, Elon was asking, is that forming the handle? Well, here's the coffee, guys. Let's see if we get the handle, right? We got the cup. Let's see if we get the handle. I can see what he's seeing there. He sees that cup action here, then the pullback. Will we get the handle to go higher? It's there.
Yep.
Like always, the key to like recognizing patterns is also understanding the levels that you need to be looking for, right? So if you guys recognize the patterns, there you see Joel kind of breaking down levels that are important there. And then now you need to watch to see if it happens, because patterns are patterns, man. They don't need to happen. A lot of times their percentages are actually pretty low if you know the actual percentages to these patterns. Let's wrap it up. Of course, who will we have on Monday, Joel? I will be out.
Tim back, and yeah.
Tim. All right.
Yeah. Back-to-back appearances by Tim, and what's the name of that guy that we were working with before? The guy that likes to talk all the time. What's his name again?
I know I might know him. Are we gonna get the guy that's spending $1 million in Disney?
How is Disney stock did this week? Yeah. Did you see his Twitter pictures?
A cool million in Disney right now.
Yeah, he's dropping it. So, all right, folks, thanks for joining us, Mitch. Great job there from the world headquarters. Safe travels back, and we'll be back to our routine on Monday. Everyone, have a great day.
All right, guys, keep up with Joe on the closing print. No start swing trade for me today, but like always, guys, this is for informational purposes only, not to be used as investment advice. Opinions do not represent those of Benzinga, and hosts and guests may maintain positions in the securities discussed. Now to bring you guys over to, of course, live trading. That's coming up next. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, and the bell to be notified the moment that pre-market prep gets started every single day. Hit the like button. Let's get after it. Let's bring you guys over to live trading. I had a really nice trade, even shorting a penny name. Come over to live trading. Find out how we get after it every single day.